When I watched the trailer for this game, I was really amazed on how cinematic and prestigious this world looked. This universe on display had something that felt gritty, dark, and something out of the PS3 and 360 era. This was Armored Core 6, and my god, it took my breath away. The overview of this game from Steam reads, Armored Core 6 fires a Rubicon will offer a game experience based on the mech game know-how Fromsoftware cultivated over 25 years of developing games in this series, but now introducing groundbreaking gameplay found in the developer's recent action games. So of course talking about Elden Ring and the Dark Souls franchise, so expect some Souls-like gameplay but not necessarily a Souls-like game. And some more information about the game is, in Armored Core 6 Fires of Rubicon, players will assemble and pilot their own mech with 3D maneuverability to move freely through three-dimensional fast-paced missions, take on difficult challenges and overwhelm your enemies with dynamic movements that make full use of ranged and melee combat. Players can enjoy a variety of actions that can only be truly realized with mechs. From Windows Central, the article reads, Armored Core 6 is the first game in the series since 2013's Armored Core Verdict Day, and since the franchise has never taken off quite like FromSoftware's Soulsborne's games have, many aren't sure what to expect from a new Armored Core game. In this overview, we'll go over everything we know about it so far, including its release date and supported platforms, story setting, gameplay design, and more. So it seems now, because there is a spotlight on Elden Ring, a massive spotlight, a massive shine, because it was literally the game of the year of 2022, and a massive following of not only Souls games from Software, but from Software as a company itself. A lot of people are, they're diehard for From Software games. Whatever they make, they will buy. Armored Core can finally maybe get the recognition it once desired because of this loyal fan base. Windows Central explains that in its games, players control a silent protagonist that works as a mercenary for various corporate and private clients. To complete the various tasks and missions they're given, players pilot massive mechs called Armored Cores in order to challenge enemy groups and factions, including other pilots. Notably, these mechs can be extensively upgraded and customized over the course of each game as missions are finished and resources are gained. Historically, the series has been designed as a third-person shooter. Every Armored Core game thus far has taken place in an apocalyptic or post-apocalyptic setting, with civilization's downfall caused by catastrophic events like global nuclear conflicts or massive civil wars between the government, power-hungry corporations, and rebel groups. Some Armored Core games allow the player to influence the story with choices, and I'm really hoping we see something like that in this game. And games that are directly connected to one another sometimes give players the ability to import their Armored Core from a previous title. So hopefully, with that story influence, we get a very deep, rich narrative that is easy to digest. I'm also not a Souls player again, and Elden Ring was a pain for me to play. It was beautiful, the artistic designs were just incredible, and for me, I kind of liked the zones where I absolutely dominated, those little bosses and stuff. The starting zone, I kind of like that zone because I could just dominate those guys and it just felt like I had power. And I know the point is to get dominated by bosses and really kill the bosses, and there is a satisfaction to Elden Ring, of course, killing those bosses that I've never got and probably will never get from another genre of games. However, it was From Software that brought me into that world and had me banging my head against the controller, fighting near 50 plus bosses in the main story of the game. I would have never played that game, but felt like I needed to prove I was a bloody good gamer. It's because of my experience with Elden Ring and how well made the game was, I'm excited to play a next gen game with their level design, their artistic vision and polish in a world that I might actually enjoy this time around. Now, in terms of development of this game, the game's Steam listing states that Miyazaki is involved as the project as initial game director, but the Masaru Yamamura has taken over as Armored Core 6 game director. So Yamamura is a From Software veteran that has worked as a level and gameplay designer across multiple Soulsborne games, including Dark Souls, Bloodborne, Dark Souls 3, and Sekiro: Shadows Die Twice. Reportedly, this game has been in development since 2017. Armored Core 6 Fires of Rubicon is set to release in 2023, although we don't know anything about when it's coming out specifically. Historically, most of Fromsoftware's games from the last decade have launched in the first quarter of the year, either in late February or in March. So we might actually get our hands on Armored Core 6 very soon, between January and March in the first quarter of 2023. I'm also really looking forward to the collector's edition and what it might contain. Also, there's been some leaks in regards to Armored Core 6. According to VGC, the first screenshots of Fromsoftware's Armored Core 6 have seemingly been leaked. The images, which you can view, were posted on Reset Era by user Red Licorice, who claimed on Saturday that they'd received a survey from the Elden Ring and Dark Souls studio revealing the first details on the unannounced mech combat game. From what I saw, so for me, I did go ahead and look at these leaked images, and it did look like concept art. It didn't look like gameplay. To me, it seemed like it was just the landscapes and settings of the world and a little bit of mech combat gameplay, well, concept of the gameplay to me. So the game is a third-person shooter mecha action title that lets you move around an overwhelmingly scaled map that represents a unique sci-fi world with dynamic mech action, the alleged survey reads. So this survey allegedly reads that the game is a third-person shooter mecha action title that lets you move around an overwhelmingly scaled map that represents a unique sci-fi world with dynamic mech action. You will face strong enemies and fierce battles, both long and short range, using guns and blades. Now, a synopsis leak for the game read: the synopsis for the game reportedly sees the government, corporation, cultists, and unknown mercenaries battling over an alien substance that can drastically advance human society. The user, who said that they hadn't initially shared screenshots of the game because they were watermarked, also claimed the survey included a small amount of footage of the title. I was pretty amazed to be watching footage of an upcoming Fromsoftware game randomly this morning, quite unexpectedly, they wrote. The boss fight looked quite Soulsy. The long range gunfire reminded me of Virtua On. That's my frame of reference. I'm not a mech fan and haven't played any AC games. The player character in a white mech went in close to the bigger robot boss and fought with like an energy or laser sword. This looks Souls style. They also added the field gameplay. The player in the same white mech seemed to be following a couple of other players in the distance, co-op, and they were walking, flying close to the ground maybe, through a snowy area towards either a large wall or gate. This seemed Soulsy too, the vastness of the architecture, but it wasn't a castle, more like a worn down metal/stone wall or gate. It was quite short. Now, I'm pretty sure that I read an article or watched a video where someone said that the devs stated that this would not be a Souls-like game, but it could contain elements like boss fights that are difficult. But don't expect a Souls-like game, rather gameplay similar to some previous entries with, of course, new additions. There are so many incredible games coming this year, including indie and AAA titles, and this is the one that I'm excited to get my hands on, especially being potentially a few months away. Guys, thank you so much for watching. Peace out, God bless, and I hope to see you in one of my next videos. Take care, guys.
Sitting throwing rocks across the pavement, hoping it will cave in and swallow me whole. Wondering why my mind keeps on spinning. This isn't how living to me was told.